Hi guys, welcome back here to another episode of Building My Own Monster. If you don't know already, I am trying to do my own version of the B&M Invert Monster located at Grönalund in Stockholm, Sweden. Now, today I'm going to be doing some little details. I'm going to be working for the first time ever with a new mod called Freedom 2000. I'll get into that in a bit. So yeah, first of all, I'm doing a planter here. As you can see, I've gone ahead and built a vintage cars ride. I've just weaved it in and out of the inverted coaster, took it on a nice kind of route around the back part of the park here, or this section of the park. And basically, I just thought it'd be a really nice fit to have a vintage cars ride in this type of park. It really matches into that kind of old style boardwalk type park. So I wanted to do a nice planter here in the center of this curve, and then fill it with lots of plants, and then I can do like a nice support for the coaster above that area. So I'll get onto that just in a bit as well. So I've got kind of the basics done there for the planter. Now I'm just going to fill it in. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because it's quite boring to watch. Adding in a couple of little trees and that here and there, and now I'm going to go in and do this big chunky support, very similar to the one I did on the first drop, but this is just for this kind of panoramic turnaround part of the coaster. And I just thought it'd be really nice to add another support in that kind of matches the other one at the first drop, just to kind of tie it together. And also I thought this was a nice spot to put it as well. I don't want to have too many supports coming down off this part of the ride, especially with the vintage cars right there underneath. If you'd watched the last episode, you know that I spoke about how I like to give my parks some sort of a rough timeline in the order of which rides were maybe built. And I want to talk a little bit about that now. I think that the vintage cars ride in this park would have been there maybe from the beginning of this park opening at the very beginning, and this B&M inverted coaster is a newer addition, and so they've had to weave this coaster in and out of the pre-existing paths rides and other attractions. And so therefore I think doing this type of support work here really allows that kind of look to make it seem as if I've weaved this coaster in and tried to make it fit around the vintage cars ride, not having too many supports there coming down, getting in the way of that pre-existing attraction. And I'm going to add some buildings and that around there as well. So I'm really thinking about these kind of logics and stuff when building parks, not just this park but any maps. I think about what rides were there first and how it would look, and you know. Right, so now I'm on the other side of the map, and I'm going in and adding in a few little buildings here. So these are going to be food outlets or small stalls where you could buy candy or some snacks, that kind of thing. And so this is the first one. I basically typed into Google Boardwalk theme park, that kind of thing, and looked at some pictures to get like a general idea for a style. And I'm just kind of recreating what I see in my own way, adding a few little twists and turns and my own little flares to them. So this is the first building. Not sure exactly what its purpose is, but I'm going to put like a food store in there, and then also I'm going to do another little one next to it, and that will lead on to the actual entrance for the vintage cars. So it all kind of lines up along this side. This side of the park is actually next to the barbecue house, which I built in the last episode. If you haven't seen that already, I will put a link now on the top of the screen. Make sure to go and check that out if you haven't seen that already, just so you can see the progress of this build. I also have a playlist called Build My Own Monster if you want to go back to the very beginning and just watch me build this entire thing. So that's that building there pretty much done. I'm just adding a few little rails on there. The canopies there are from Shy Guys set 2. I absolutely love them. I use them all the time. The Shy Guys mod sets are my like go-to sets for building like buildings and things. I use a lot of the vanilla pieces, like a lot of the in-game walls and everything that you get when you buy the game. I use those the most, to be honest. They have some great pieces in there, especially if you're using like Construction Anarchy. It really takes away the limitation that those pieces have, and it's great. But those Shy Guys sets 1, 2, 3, 4 and dining sets are my go-to mod sets. I use them a lot, so I use that for that building pretty much, especially for those canopies. If you want to get into mods, I do recommend starting off with maybe the Shy Guys sets before kind of diving yourself into the world of all the mods that there are. So now I'm going in and doing the station here for the vintage cars. Now I had an idea of how I wanted it to look, but it just, I don't know, it wasn't quite what I envisioned. I tweak it and tweak it and tweak it, and I ended up actually doing like the final touches on it off camera. So at the end of the video I will pop a screenshot of how that looks now, but the general idea of what I do now is there. It looked not as good as maybe I could have done it. But so I started off with these two kind of like brick towers and added like a roof there in the middle over the station. And I just kind of wanted to make the front look kind of traditional and fancy. It just wasn't really happening. But you'll see the progress that I go through. Adding some details there on the corner, I think it just makes it look a bit more interesting. And then I wanted to add like a nice big like sign on the front, and I had in my head how I wanted it to look. I just couldn't quite get it to look the way I wanted it to, so I ended up just using the in-game text feature. I've added some details there on the front overhang roof. Now I'm adding the sign that I just spoke about, so I just wanted to make two separate kind of font styles there. One saying vintage, one saying cars, of course. I'm going to color those, but I'm going to change all that so it's not how it will be. And yeah, just need to try and find some details and some trims and things to add onto this building. I just was really struggling with it. It's really basic, it's really simple, it's not a complicated building at all. It just, I don't know, maybe I wasn't feeling it that day, but it wasn't happening, you know. I do go ahead and add some lights and things onto it which make it look better. I've added in some cars there popping out of the roof just to make it look interesting, and I was going through different pieces, finding different border pieces and seeing what looks good and seeing what doesn't look good. This building was like the definition of trial and error. The Resortitect mod actually has some really great pillars in there, so this is where I found these pillars. I thought that kind of made it look cool. They look a little bit like candy, but you know, it's fine. Now I'm adding in some orb lights just to make it look a bit more, make it look better than it is. So I've just gone ahead and done that. And the whole time I have no idea what I'm building. I'm literally just making it up as I go along. Just added in some headlights there into the car just to make it look a little bit better. And now I'm doing something that I really hate to do, but it always looks really, really good. And that is adding lighting to the to text. It looks so good when you do it, and if you do it correct or do it nicely, it looks really good. I just have no patience to sit there. I have a lot of patience to build stuff in the game, but to sit and put like individual lights into letters is one of my hates, like one of my pet peeves. That and custom supports, although you know I love custom supports, they look so good, but I hate doing them. But I hate doing the lights on letters more. So when I see people do like big signs that have lights all in the letters, I'm like, how did you have the patience to do that? I think it's great. They look so good when you do it, especially at night time. Like when you put the game into night mode and you fully have done everything light-wise, like you've lit up all the rides, the pathing, and you've done all signs and stuff. It looks so good. So I really do love to see that in people's parks when they put the time and effort into to light things up. I just kind of wanted to extend that kind of overhang roof a little bit there on the front. So I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. Maybe around the car area I thought would look quite nice if I just change that up a little bit, make it look a bit more interesting. And I'm just using shapes basically to like fill in all the gaps. And then I can put some lights now around those curvy pieces in front of the car as well. So it's coming together a little bit better than it was. Like I said, I'm going to go and show you a screenshot of this at the end, just so you can see how it really turned out. But that is the basics of it. Right, and then onto the next building. This is just a small little kind of, I've turned it into like a toffee shop, so where you can buy different toffees, and it's just a small little stall building there that's kind of wedged in between the first building that I built and the station for the vintage cars ride. And using a reference for like ideas, and I'm just going ahead. I kind of stuck to these kind of beigey browns. I'm not really sure why, but I think I was going for like this classic look, and I think for me these colors scream classic for some reason. So I kind of stuck with those, but I kind of like it. I didn't want to do it all too bright and colorful because that's not really what I'm going for with this park. But yeah, I'm just going to do a nice big sign on the front, just so you can kind of see what this shop sells, using shapes and some border pieces, and you can make nice little signs like this, put like a nice border around the sign as well, so that looks really, really cool. And I'm just going to go ahead and just put some more details and finish that one up. And that's basically this kind of little like promenade boardwalk area done on this side of the park. So on the other side, which I'm going to get onto in a second, is going to be more attractions and more kind of seating areas and stuff. And then this side has more kind of like some food areas and just basically where guests can kind of walk through the park and maybe get to some other attractions on the other side, which don't exist because this is just a diorama. So it's just a small section of the map, as you know. But yeah, I don't normally do these long videos. This is a 20-minute video today. Normally my videos are around about 10 minutes, and so I can talk normally for 10 minutes, but when it's 20 minutes I run out of things to talk about, and there's only so much you can talk about when building. Like, it's all the same pieces, just rearranged in different orders, and I do the same thing pretty much in all the videos, just in a different way. So you guys know how I build now. So I wanted to add like another like kind of gateway area here, where the clubhouse for the marina kind of joins back into the park. I did that on the other side where the guests can come into, so I just wanted to do that again on this side. I didn't want to make it too like obvious that it's like a different part of the park. I just wanted to add like a small kind of gate there, just to kind of break it up. Also the path changes there, so it's a nice way to transition from different path textures. So that's one way that I did it. Now I'm just adding in some of those kind of really nice corrugated iron pieces on the back of the buildings there, just to kind of create these backstage kind of look. Now I'm just adding in some random rocks, literally just I'm dropping them in anywhere, like just eyeballing it, and then some foliage just to fill in that gap there behind those shops that I just built and the coaster. So this gap here, I'm going to do like a nice little kind of staff entrance area there, as you can see now, which will be fenced off, and then I'm just going to leave it kind of plain and add some bushes and stuff in there, just for the coaster. I can't add too many trees and stuff there because the train is obviously inverted, so the legs and the train hangs below the track, so it does hit stuff if I was to really fill it in with trees and stuff. So I had to leave it open as much as I can there, just to allow for, well, so there's no collisions with things. But it looks pretty, I like it. So now, before I move on to the other side of the park and play with Freedom 2000 for the first time, I'm just going to do a final few little details here on this building. I just added some pillars there, some lights, and I added some little billboards on the side of the barbecue house there with different kind of Marina Club posters that I found on Google. So I wanted to do like the water. If you imagine that the map came out further, then the water would continue around to the side here, and I wanted to kind of make the look of like this is maybe like an island or something, but I didn't want to do like a 45-degree angle because, you know, that's easy. So I decided to download the Freedom 2000 mod, which is it's not actually on Steam, but I found it on I just googled it and I found it on Reddit, and it allows you to type in any angle you wish, and any piece that you have, if it's vanilla or not, anything, even the flat rides, you can turn it by pressing spacebar, or if you hold down control or whatever key you set it to, you can also rotate it on the other axis as well, so you can literally flip any piece around at any angle you wish, like what you see in Planet Coaster. So that allowed me here to actually take these wall pieces and turn them to a 22.5-degree angle, which is obviously half of 45, and that allowed me to do this really interesting shape that you don't normally see in this game. So that was really, really exciting. It does mess things up a little bit, like you can't really work on the grid anymore, so yeah, I've had to place things down by hand, which is a bit of a pain, but for the look I'm okay to do it. You know, I'm okay to put an extra little bit of work here and have to place things down manually, but it looks so cool. I'm so happy with how it looks. And when I found out that you could also do it to flat rides as well, I went ahead and did that with some of the flat rides. I added a tower ride later on, and I do it on the 45-degree angle, and it looks so cool. So that's really like opened up so many opportunities in this game for all the builders out there. Like, it is a mod, but it's not like adding pieces, it's just allowing you to do more with the pieces that are given in the game. It's basically like an add-on to Construction Anarchy. Like, Construction Anarchy allows you to raise pieces up and down at any height increment, and now Freedom 2000 allows you to rotate any piece you wish. So now I've put down the very controversial carousel. If you're over on Reddit, you would know why it's very controversial. People don't agree with the positioning of it, but I stand by it. I really like where it is, and it sticks out here over the side on the water, and I think it looks really pretty. I'm just going to go ahead now as well and put some fencing along the side there. I downloaded these new fences from the Steam Workshop, and I really love them. There's some really, really cool new fences in there, and they're on all angles. Well, I mean, not that I need that anymore, but if you didn't have Freedom 2000, you can get diagonals, there's straight pieces, quarters and halves and curves. But with Freedom 2000, you don't really need to have all those anymore. You can just flip any piece you like to any angle, which is what I've had to do here to get fences on that 22-degree angle. 22.5 degrees, sorry. So as you can see though, there are gaps in the path. So to cover that up, I've had to be creative, and I've decided to put down like a wooden kind of promenade bit, which actually looks kind of cool. But because of the angle, I can't do the grid, so I've had to place these down and line them up myself. And it took a little bit of a while to put it down compared to what I'm normally used to building, like speed-wise. But I'm happy with how that looks. And then just to like finish it off, I'm just going to add like a little border frame around it so it doesn't look too random. And this will be a nice area, I think, to put some seating and some nice lighting along, where guests can kind of sit, you know, by the harbour side there, by the water's edge, and have a coffee and some ice cream. Speaking of ice cream, so now I'm going to go ahead and actually build this little ice cream stall. I just had to go into my settings there and just change the angle on the Freedom 2000 to make building more efficient for me right now. You can switch the angles whenever you like. If you do download Freedom 2000, I really recommend working at like 45 degrees or like 22.5. And if you start playing around with crazy angles like 1 degree, oh my god, it's too much. So yeah, I only stuck to like, I mainly use 45 degree unless I need to do a 22.5 degree. Which just makes building a bit easier and it doesn't get too complicated. It can be very overwhelming. I was very hesitant to download it because I've seen people play with it and what they can do looks incredible, but that scares me. I like to stick to what I know and build with the pieces that I'm happy with, and so to download this new mod was so like overwhelming, but I'm so glad I did, because actually after playing with it for like half an hour, I got the hang of it. It's really easy to use and you can switch it off whenever you like, so I don't use it the entire time, and it just makes building so much better. So back to the ice cream building that I'm doing now. I thought it'd be really nice to add like a little ice cream building. In hindsight, I wish I also built this on the 22.5 degree angle so it lines up nicely with the side, but I didn't, so you have to live with it, and it is what it is. But I do like it. It is cool. It's really basic, but it turned out really, really cool. There's some really cool ice cream props in like a props galore mod from the Steam Workshop, which I added, and on either side I did like a strawberry one on this side, on the other side's chocolate. You often see those like stood outside ice cream shops, so I thought that'd be a really nice little cool detail to add. And then yeah, just adding different pieces, different roofs, border pieces, and then I'm also going to do a similar thing to what I did on the vintage cars ride and add those orb lights all around the edge to make it look pretty at night time. So first of all, just adding some string lighting here underneath each roof there, so it looks nice as well underneath. And then I'm just adding some more little details, some spheres or circles even there along the front of each side, just to make it look more interesting. I'm just making a like a shelf at the moment where the people be served from the ice cream shop. And now I'm just adding a floor cover here around it, just to kind of break it up a little bit, to just make it look a little bit different, like it's its own little building. And also it just makes it look much more interesting, like to have that different concrete there on the floor. And something that I do very regularly as well, and you've seen me do it before and in the last episode, is adding some borders to the roof, just to kind of break it up, give it a little bit more texture. Even though these roof pieces already have a little bit of texture, I thought it'd be nice just to add a little bit more by adding some borders to it. And now I'm adding like a, I don't know what they're called, like the thing you have at the center of a roof where the roof pieces meet. So if that has a name, let me know. So I've just done that. Now I'm making a little ice cream sign, so I'm going to put one of those on either side. It's just, again, using the in-game text feature, which I think is amazing, and like I love it. It's such a good thing. Really reminds me of Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. There was like these signs, and then when you didn't have to type into them though. If you placed one near a ride, they would automatically say what the name of the ride was on the sign. If I made that up, or was that a thing? I can't remember. Definitely in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, not in 3. I can't remember what Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 had. It's been such a long time since I really played it. But yeah, anyway, the text feature in the game, I really love it. And now I'm just adding those orb lights all along the edge of the roof. Again, I'm going to add a screenshot of this building at the end, so you can just see how it looks like. And if you want to look at it for a bit longer, you can press pause and have a look at those screenshots. But now I'm just dulling the lights a little bit. They're a little bit bright, so if you just take a darker shade, you can actually dull them a little bit so they're not so bright at night time. But that looks really cool. I'm really happy with it. I'll show you the screenshots now. Thanks for watching this video. Give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time for another episode here on my channel. Bye!